A Letter of Private Direction, a spiritual classic from the late 14th century, continuing with Chapter 2. How a person should offer his or her being to God, and how he or she should stop worrying about subtle meditation. Well then, all I ask you to do is to think, without any subtle investigations, that you are as you are, no matter how foul or wretched you may be, as long as you have been forgiven, as I take for granted, all your particular and general sins in the right way, in accordance, that is, with the true teaching of the Church. If that isn't the case, then neither you nor anyone else may dare to start this exercise, or may not start it with my agreement. If you really feel that you have done everything you can in that regard, then you can start the exercise. Even if you still think that you are quite vile and disgusting, and that your own self is such a nuisance, and that it cramps you so that you hardly know what is the best thing to do with yourself, you must still do what I tell you, exactly as I tell you. What you must do is to take the good, gracious God just as He is, without any qualification, and to attach Him like a poultice to your sick self, just as you are. Or if you like, raise up your sick self just as you are, and try by desire to touch the good, gracious God just as He is. Touching God is everlasting health, as we know from the woman in the Gospel. All I have to do to be safe is to touch the hem of His clothes. The supreme heavenly touch of God's own being, of His own dear self, will do much more to get rid of your sickness. So go right ahead and taste this miraculous medicine. Raise up your sick self just as you are, to the gracious God just as He is, without speculating and without special investigation of any characteristic of your own being or of God's, whether healthy or unhealthy, given by grace or by nature, divine or human. All you have to do now is to ensure that your hidden contemplation of the very essence of your being is raised up in gladness and loving desire, to be united and made one in grace and spirit with the precious being of God, just as He is in Himself, and no more than that. If your wayward and inquisitive reason can't get anything out of this exercise and starts nagging you continually, prompting you to give it all up and do something really concrete and worthwhile in its subtle investigative way, it thinks what you're doing is useless merely because it knows nothing of or about it, I find that a good sign. All the better. It means that what you're doing is much more valuable than anything it can do. I find it all the better because there is nothing that I could do, and nothing that my investigative reason could manage, within or without, that could get me so close to God and so far from the world as this simple, almost invisible experience of offering up the very essence of my being. Even though your rational mind can't find anything worthwhile or healthy in this exercise, and therefore would like to stop you doing it, don't on any account. And certainly not because your reason is critical. Stop trying. Be the boss as far as it's concerned. Don't stop short in your tracks, let alone go back to the beginning, however much fuss and noise your rational objections make. You nourish your rational mind when you allow it to speculate and investigate the various characteristics of your being. That kind of meditation can be valuable, even profitable in its own right. But if set against the hidden contemplation and offering up of your being that I have recommended, it will only split and divide the perfect unity which ought to persist between God and your soul. So, don't stop. Carry on with the exercise at the lowest rung of your spirit or being. Don't turn round and go back for any reason, no matter how good or holy the thing that your rational mind asks you to pursue may seem to be.